Hello, my name is Kedar, and you're watching rptv. On January the 23rd, 2025, the Regent Parks Committee of the Regent Park Social Development Plan convened to address critical challenges impacting its working groups, particularly within the planning committee itself. As the strategic advisory body of the SDP Stakeholders Table, the Planning Committee plays a crucial role in shaping the direction and priorities of the SDP organizations. By fostering collaboration between committees, it ensures that community voices remain central to decision making and that residents' engagement remains strong. However, tensions within the committee have hindered progress. At the core of these conflicts are differing perspectives on governance, misunderstandings between members, and varying approaches to conflict resolution. Some members advocate for mediation, while others believe open discussions among group members are the key to moving forward. Let's join the meeting now and witness firsthand how the committee grapples with these challenges.
Hey, folks. So in the planning meeting this week, people wanted to sort of look at and bring up the SDP Shaping Culture Guidelines again as a way to, in my understanding, to respond to some conflicts that have emerged. And, a variety of conflicts that have emerged over time. If there's other context to that, then please contribute to this background. But given that, one idea was to bring the SDP culture guidelines forward again to spaces for the SDP and to try to encourage people to use them. The idea for this agenda item is to review the guidelines. And then I guess I would suggest, we didn't really go further than that, but maybe I'd suggest that we people can suggest ideas for how we might want to move on this and see what we come up with. So the SDP culture guidelines, it's a package of items, which includes guidelines for meetings, guidelines for dealing with conflict, and a document on accountability, sort of guidelines for how we can be accountable to each other. Do people want to hear more about what's in the documents, or like as part of this review, or do you have questions you want to ask? I mean, let's not go to what we want to do going forward yet. Let's just, right now it's just the review. I can go into more detail if you want. I mean, we have gone over it at times, but let's see what people want to do, and then we can tailor what we do according to what people's interests are.
I think it will be helpful, Joel, if we can post a link to Google Drive to the shipping culture guidelines, so people can make recommendations or add-ons, deletes.
What are we going to talk about with this if we're not going to talk about what's in it? That's just a question. It's not a criticism.
So I've put the link to the whole folder in. I'd suggest you could maybe start with the introduction. And I'd say we're at a point, like the goal of what we were doing with the guidelines was to make this space welcoming and inclusive. And I guess I'd say that we're facing some challenges around that right now. So we want to get to a place where people experience us to be, like the space to be more a place where they feel welcomed and included and belong.
Go ahead, Michael. You have a question?
Well, I mean, I was just going to say something about like the general circumstances, but I don't know whether it's necessary to say that. I mean, I'll just say that like things are being done about the situation to improve it. So I guess there's sort of a belief, which I'm not 100% sure about, but a belief that these guidelines will actually help the situation. I'm not as confident that the guidelines are the thing that will do it, but they can be one of the things. So, I mean, we all agreed to it, and that was the sort of the compromise. Was the document is full of all the compromises, so it is what it is, and we should use it.
You want to share
But
some
I'm
more
just
about?
saying that, like, in addition to that, lots of other discussions are happening in the background that are also helping the situation. I guess that was my point.
Well, I think that like talking about the context is probably a good thing, in my opinion. I mean, others, if you don't want to go there, then we don't need to necessarily. But I would say it might be, if you think it's relevant to bring that to this space, Michael, I would say you could, that would be appropriate. Like right now, we're just still reviewing, and we're just trying to create the context for how we're talking about this.
No, I just wanted to introduce like the idea that there's sort of more than one way to go at it, and even within the document, conflict resolution, for example, has many different ways to go about it.
Right?
Speak to this?
Any speakers? Yeah.
Yeah,
Walid.
yeah.
Walid.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so folks, I know that we have the folder and we have this material, but I think maybe we can spend some time to just make this information way more accessible, so that we could orient not just the new co-chairs or the current co-chairs about this document, which took extensive work. A lot of hours went into it, a lot of thought leadership, a lot of compromise, and it was approved at the stakeholders table as well. So I think if we could just maybe uh, select some folks that could maybe work offline to just make it much more interactive and fun to engage with, I think that will be helpful. And I think we should start um, having this item discussed by all the working groups um, as a refresher, just to make sure that members are aware that these documents exist, and that will help us set expectations on um, what how we can best support residents and members of the working groups on addressing conflict or address any challenges that might come up during the meetings or during engagements between members. So I want to put that forward as an action that we do two things. One, um, bring back the shaping SDP culture group just to um, maybe put come together with like visuals or like a PowerPoint presentation with the main pieces, because it's a long document, so that it's easily accessible to folks. And then two, ask all the co-chairs of the working groups to invite members of the Shaping SDP culture, or for them to take on the onus of presenting this this document at their at the working group that is um, most convenient this year, so that everyone has an understanding of this document. I just don't want it to be just something that we shelve and just like reflect on when something comes up. I think we need to be proactive in educating folks. So those are my proposal.
absolutely, Walid. All right.
So my suggestion in response to that is that we first talk to maybe the co-chairs of the working groups to see what they think would fit with them, and we sort of bring this work to them, and this idea of operationalizing these guidelines to them in a sort of conversational way, and see how we can move forward with it. So, and Elena, I know you're here. I don't know if how you think this would connect. I mean, we've brought it to the community building already. I guess I should speak for community building first. But we haven't talked about it for a while, but I suppose we could talk about it again. I don't know, how would you see it connecting with
Well, the
EED?
first, I think that would be great that if we take out all those points in just a paper and then send it to all the co-chair of the committees, and then arrange a one meeting for only the co-chairs and discuss on it and just see how they can come up, if there is any idea for that, any suggestions, and accordingly we will go after getting the result. We ask each and every co-chair that matter, it would be discussed in their team, with their team member and in their committee itself. But I think to make it clear, we need to summarize the points that you want to be discussed. They have to be clear what they have to talk about and what changes we are talking about. Mostly, I think most of them, they are aware of the changes, as we were, at the stakeholder table, all of us, most of us. But that would be good that it comes, again, separately too.
Have you come across situations in the EED where you felt like some guidelines like this would be helpful?
That would be good to have the guideline. I did not really come across at this moment because everything is really smooth and we did not really emphasize over those points. But if we have it, that would be good. That's why that I want just again once again discuss among all the co-chairs, and if it is required, we will put it. If it is not, so maybe we let it as it is, because I think already everyone is aware, and those that they are not aware, we can just provide them some summary of the whatever is happening.
Yeah, I think the elephant in the room is that there's a particular working group where there's difficulties.
Yeah.
And at times it can be good to try to address specific difficulties by a general approach. I don't know if that's maybe the first way that I would suggest that we go in this case. At least in terms of like bringing co-chairs together. So maybe we could have some discussion around that. Like we haven't had all the co-chairs together for any purpose for quite a while. And I wonder, like, what are ways to think that one through, so that whatever we do, it actually lands meaningfully in our network, in the work. Oh, and by the way, Miguel, we just have a new member, it looks like.
Yes, I want to ask the person to identify himself.
Oh, Kedar.
iPhone, who are you, please?
Kedar. That he's Kedar. He wrote it in the
What's
chat.
up, Miguel? It's Kedar. Sorry,
Oh,
I showed up late.
Hey, bro, yeah.
Kedar, do you mind changing your name to Kedar? Oh, no, you can't do it on the phone. Brandy, would you mind changing Kedar's name?
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay, go ahead, Michael.
Okay. With regard to the particular working group where most of the current issue has come up, I think the appropriate procedure there is to actually solve the issue first, and then deal with whatever conflict is remaining. I'm not suggesting in that particular case that solving the issue will eliminate all of the conflict. So I think there's another step after that. But if you get rid of the big immediate problem, then we can work on general sort of approaches to reducing conflict. So that would be the thing, and that is already underway, I hope, unless it fails to solve the problem. But there are steps already taken to try to solve the immediate cause of the problem. As far as other like general ways of getting this out, so I would emphasize that the co-chairs are not a power group, so they should never meet together as a separate entity that doesn't have any members of the working groups present who want to take part in that. I mean, even the leadership groups of most of the working groups, with one, I think, exception, are generally considered open. So if the co-chairs are going to be involved in something, then it also should be open. So I mean, whatever procedures we're using here to like communicate this, it should not be just the co-chairs. Because that can, you know, influence or exacerbate the internal situations that might be happening in the working groups. So I've always wanted to stay away from co-chairs having a special position in anything. So even when we talked about alignment a while ago, this is quite a while ago, actually about 3 or 4 years, we were talking about having special meetings for alignment. And we did decide that those were open meetings. So if we're going to also be doing something here, same thing applies.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Elena, you have a question?
Yes, regarding this co-chair meetings. Well, I understand we are not a separate entity, and that is obvious to everyone. You know, having the co-chairs meeting, it doesn't mean that to create a separate entity. It is creating a get-together of the co-chair for bringing any problems that it is, and if they have any specific solutions through their committees, through their members, and even themselves, we put together, and then again separately, we go back to our groups and we discuss that these are the things that the other groups are facing or my groups is facing and how we can go for it. And sometimes it would be good that the co-chairs would be together to understand that what is happening in their team. For example, I am not participating maybe in communication group. I have not much idea that what is going on over there. So, but as a co-chair, they can give us and brief us that what are the challenges they are facing, what are the working on it, and what are the results they have, what are the future maybe promises they have given to the committee, and how the results would be. This is the way that we have to get communicated with each other. It doesn't mean that if the co-chairs are together, we are separating and it should be open to everyone. If it should be open to everyone, it is just like a general meeting. It will not really focus on a specific or emphasize on the particular, you know, text and context that we want to talk about it. It will go to many, many branches. But we want to bring the co-chairs together to understand what the committee and how the committee it works, you know, among the co-chairs, and then get those challenges, get those results to our groups. That's the main purpose. Thank you very much.
All right. Marlene,
Yeah,
hold
I'm
on,
gonna have to
Michael.
want to speak
Michael,
again.
hold on. Marlene is ahead of you.
Look, I agree with both of you, and I see no problem in doing it in both ways. I think meetings like that, your co-chairs are mandatory. Anybody else who wants to show up can show up. It doesn't need to be exclusive. Anyone who's interested in participating, participate, but the co-chairs must be there. So, it leaves it up to the individual. If they want to come, they come. If not, you stay home. And it's not getting anybody's way. But the co-chairs need to meet. I think that takes care of everybody. It takes care of my issue. It takes care of the issue of the coach. I don't think any of these things should ever be exclusive. And they're not meant to be. But that would be what I would propose. And I think any of these meetings, any kind of meetings. I mean, even when we get together to talk about fundraising, there are people who take, who take the leads in the fundraising, but anybody else who wants, yeah, okay, say it. I think that's simple. That's all.
Thank you, Marlene. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. This is just a way to, make sure that a new problem isn't created. Because, I mean, this should be happening in the working groups already, that other people can attend the meetings of the co-chairs. It's just doesn't make it a meeting for everybody, right? It's a meeting for people who are particularly concerned about the operation of the working group rather than its day-to-day activities. It's just a way of making sure that things don't go off on the wrong track and create a conflict later. So I just think it's a general practice that meetings are open. Not everybody comes to every meeting anyways. It's just that it really makes things go better when people are not told that they can't go to a certain meeting. And then the problem arises later. It'll still be a small meeting.
All right, Michael, thank you. Anyone else has a question or comment on this particular item on the agenda, the changing culture of Regent Park?
Yeah, I'd like a decision. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Well, I would like to comment on this. I know that Michael wants to avoid conflict, but I call it the elephant in the room. The disjointed group, of the RPSN, Region Park Safety Network. I don't see them coming to these meetings at all. And they have this perception that they are unique and different than the rest of the SDP tables, chairs. We had to bring them in. I submitted my comments on this matter, but I don't know, perhaps was not part of the agenda on Tuesday. So perhaps I'll bring it back again next week. It's time to realign with the SC Region Park Safety Network and let them wake up. This is not a unique situation. I know your historical background in the community, but this is a new, this is 2025. Either you align with us or you create your own, but it's not in the best interest of the community to divide ourselves. We want just to continue working as 4 wheels of the truck. The 4 wheels move together, not one that goes in the opposite direction. Thank you. Wally, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for Brandy. Brandy, I know you're not feeling well, so don't feel pressure to answer this question. Maybe you can talk about it later on. But have the co-chairs been that oriented, or have there been any discussions with you as a coordinator about alignment with the planning committee? I just want to have a better sense before I engage with both Hadja and Leonard and Felicia on this topic. I just want to make sure that that I'm aware of previous conversations. So has there been any conversations on alignment with the planning committee the concern that Miguel raised. Yeah, that's my question.
Not at this moment with me. But I'm not sure if they've had conversations among the co-chairs, but I haven't been privy to that information.
Okay.
But there was a conversation that I can tell you about, and it involves Marlene, so she could tell you as well.
Okay, Marlene is next. Michael, can we let Marlene speak?
And then Michael can tell me what he's talking about, but if it may have slipped my mind. But anyway, I don't know why there is a suggestion that people in the safety committee would not attend. Why would they not? Of course they'll attend. So I don't know why putting trouble where there is no trouble is a necessary thing. You call a meeting of the co-chairs, and the co-chairs will be there, including the people in the safety committee. And the only difference in the safety committee, because they operate like everybody else, is that some people don't get along with each other. Well, we're working on it. But all you're trying to do here is pull together a meeting of the co-chairs. So call it. People will come. And I think to Michael's suggestion, you keep all meetings open for whoever would like to attend. I don't see, I'm sorry, I keep using the same phrase. I don't know what the big deal is here. We don't have any great secrets. The people in the room to do the work are the co-chairs. And if other people would like to add to that, I think that's great. Come. A lot of people won't. So why can't we just call, we talk these things to death. We talk them to death. Every tiny, minuscule thing we try to do, we talk it to death. This is calling a meeting. And there should be no assumption by anyone that because there's problems, somebody won't come. It's not your concern. No, don't make assumptions for other people. Just call the darn meeting and let's move on.
Okay, Marlene, thank point taken. Go ahead, Michael, and then Joel is next.
Okay, so I thought I heard at the last safety meeting that they wanted Marlene to come to the planning committee on their behalf. So that already represents like an expansion so that things are not being done just by co-chairs. So that's already an additional reason to expand this, because the people who are involved might not even be co-chairs. And obviously the members of the Shaping Culture Committee should be involved. So that's another reason. So I think it's like, it's not a matter of like that this is like such a big deal. It's just that there are certain people who already have a reason why they would be there. I mean, so as far as I understood it, from now on, at least, the safety network will have a connection to the planning committee through Marlene. That's what I understood.
Right. Can I ask one simple question? Does anyone object to an open meeting?
Can we just keep talking about it so we can sort of go step by step? So can I go, Miguel?
Okay, so the question is, Marlene wants us to request a meeting of the co-chairs. All right, we can discuss this. Joy, you have any comments?
So I think we're a little bit all over the place right now. Like, I guess it's not, I wouldn't, I think the question doesn't get us to where we need to get to. When you want to make a decision about having a meeting, you have to know what it's for. And I don't think we have much clarity on that right now. So we started this talking about operationalizing the culture guidelines, which is still the background. It's the overall goal that we have. But we're also trying to ensure that what we do makes sense within the context of what's going on. And that's why we're talking about it. I think we need to take some more time to talk, and let's get to a decision eventually. I mean, I think there is something going on that we have to pay attention to. I mean, we have this planning committee is kind of like we could easily, I don't know. I mean, the planning committee is meant for the co-chairs. Like that's the first layer of membership of the planning committee are co-chairs of the working groups, and others can join as well. And I think there is an issue where we haven't had engagement with the safety network, and I would put forward that that's part of what's going on here, and that if we don't, I do hear that there was something positive that came out of the last meeting, which I think is great that Marlene is representing the co-chairs here in this meeting. So I think, you know, that there's serious problems that maybe to my mind look like maybe things aren't going forward, and then there's other things that make it look like it's going forward. And so I would hope that we can come through this in a way that maybe we come together in a better way and are more able to work together as a network. We'll see what that might mean in specific. But I think it does make sense to me what Michael's saying, that there's a specific issue and there's some attempts being made to resolve that issue, and that after that's done, then there might be space to look at some of the broader dynamics that we're looking at. So my suggestion is that we leave some time to have the first phase sort of complete itself, so we don't have multiple things going on at once that can really make a mess and, you know, put things back unnecessarily. And then when we're ready, and hopefully once that happens, maybe things are be a little bit more, people be better able to be together in a meeting, and we can come up with a clear purpose for what that meeting would be. And maybe it isn't just dealing with shaping SDP culture guidelines. Maybe there's a broader purpose to it as well, in terms of, you know, we've already discussed today alignment. Like maybe there could be a variety of items in that meeting if we actually had the different working groups sitting together.
All right. Thank you, Joel. Walid, your hand is up.
Yeah, folks, I don't know why I agree with some of the comments made by Joel. I think the planning committee is the best space for this conversation to happen. I think the meeting of the safety network, I wasn't there for most of it, but I was there in the beginning and I was there in the end. And I was just so shocked that folks were not aware that the safety network has to follow the terms of reference. But there was a realization by the co-chairs. I got to be very clear, both from Leonard, Haja, and Felicia, that they realized that they have to follow the terms of reference. Felicia raised the point that she may not have the most up-to-date terms of reference because there was an assumption that the terms for the chairs was for 2 years, not one. I think that was a misunderstanding because that's the agency co-chair term limits, not the resident. So I think this matter would be easily resolved by everyone having the bare minimum basic understanding of the terms of reference. I think we need to have conversations with the co-chairs. Marlene, thanks so much for stepping up. But I think it's important for the co-chairs to be at the table, not a representative. I disagree with Michael on that. I think it's important to be able to work cohesively to support the work of the SDP I think working in silos is going to really impact our ask to the city of additional resources for 2026 and for the years to come. So this is a great opportunity to remind all of us what's at stake. So I will take on the responsibility of reaching out to Hadja, reaching out to Leonard, reaching out to Felicia to make sure that they attend the next meeting, and for them to, see residents come together through the striking of the working groups for the youth and seniors. Two important, uh, two important, I guess, parts of our community that they're also invested in supporting. And I'm gonna make sure that they have the most up-to-date terms of reference document. This is something that is on our agenda. It's the next item. We need to update it so that the decisions that were made at the stakeholders table are reflected, so that everyone's on the same page. And yeah, like, to be honest, my friends, like, we gotta start thinking about issues, not personalities. We're running out of time. It's almost February. There's a budget process underway. And if we start working in silos and starting having people step in to do other, it's not going to help. We need to confront issues collectively and with integrity, and just make sure that people are aware that we are one table. This is a stakeholders table, and these are the working groups of that table. And if you want to operate not within the table, you're free to do so, but don't use the SDP's name, right? And I think everyone is aware that there's a goal, which is social cohesion and inclusion. That's what we're trying to work towards. So let's get them to the table. Let's get them to the next planning committee meeting. Let's make sure that they have all the knowledge they need to understand the expectations set out by the table, set out by residents. Because it's not TCHC or any other stakeholder or any just individual that will dictate what happens at what table. It's never going to work that way. I'm accountable to the stakeholders table. So is each one of you. So let's work with that in mind. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Walid. Marlene, is your hand up?
Yeah, I'm sorry, understanding about what my role is. My role is to basically take back information regarding the safety network back to the planning table. Okay, so that's really what that's about. So when the co-chairs are called, the co-chairs are going to be there. I'm not representing the co-chairs. That's not my role. It's just making sure that things that happen within the say, as you said, going on at the safety network. Well, that's now my job, to bring stuff back to the planning committee if anything's happening. And I think that when you say, Joel, you were saying we don't know exactly what we want to talk about. I think that will come out if you have a meeting saying that you want to talk about operationalizing the shaping culture guidelines and so forth. That's where you start. Other things will come up, and you work there. Your starting point, I assumed, was to talk about this. That's how I started. So I'm assuming if you're calling a meeting, that was your guys' idea to call a meeting. It's not me saying call a meeting. I'm just saying get on with it. The reason to call a meeting is to talk about the shaping culture guidelines. And whatever comes out of that, or what issues come out of that the various groups have, you'll find out at the meeting. That's what it's in. I don't think you have to have more clear than that. You have to give people some room to think about it and talk about it. And it will expand when you're there.
Thank you. Thank you, Marlene. Joel, please, your hand is up.
So I didn't propose a meeting. I mean, somebody proposed it, but like, I think we're having a discussion now. Um, and we're trying to figure out what the right way forward is. And maybe it's a meeting with the co-chairs. But I have heard also that it's better to try to deal with some of the issues that are on the table right now outside of a broad meeting, and maybe that's another way to go. So I'm not saying I know what the right way is. Um, and I don't attend safety committee meetings, and many of you do. So if I think though, what I would be want to be careful about is I don't want to set up a meeting where people come in and then they don't feel safe, and they feel like they're not able to uh, express their um, uh, point of view without it being shut down. So I think there's a risk of that, and maybe a way forward on this is uh, to have some conversations about like outside of the planning committee, but what would be a good framework or a good a way to go forward. I mean, you sound very confident, Marlene, that the co-chairs would just show up, and it would be constructive. If that's the group's sense that is the most constructive way, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just note that they haven't been here for a very long time. And I would think if there was no issue, that we might have seen them sometimes.
They aren't the people who, excuse me, I just want to say something. Joel, there are things going on in other areas of this community, and there's already a meeting for the people in question to get together next week. So I don't think you need to be worrying about that particular issue. We have mediators dealing with this stuff, and they're dealing with it. Okay, and it's ongoing. It's being done. There is a meeting.
Can I ask a question, Marlene? Are you talking about the CBOG mediators? I'm not aware of other mediators.
Yes, I am. But the issues are the same, whether it's CBOG or whether it's this group or whether it's another group. The issues are with the individuals. Okay, those things have to be ironed out. And we don't need to talk about that right now because the mediators are actually doing some work. And if we're talking about shaping culture guidelines, let's stay where we belong because we're not mediators.
I want to say
Hello?
something. Hold on, Michael. Marlene, I hear you, but you don't have the full picture of it. The reason why people don't feel safe is because they don't want to subjugate subjugate to the requirement of recorded meetings.
I understand.
I have been attacked twice by the same tenant rep, and that is a problem. If there is no accountability from the members, because they say they can get away because there's no recording. Oh, I can choose this because the meetings does not reflect what really happened. Look, I was kicked out of a Zoom meeting in February 2021 by a TCSC staff at the Regent Park Safety Network. Don't forget that part. Don't forget that part. They kicked me out without giving me a chance. And it was under the eyes of Ines and Lloyd when both were co-chairs. They never protested my expulsion from the Zoom meeting. I just want to make clear that you understand that part. Thank you.
Completely. And I suspect and we'll talk about next week, but you can't keep this up in every meeting that's attended. We have other things to do here. Let the mediators do their job. We're professionals. We have
Hello?
some problems with various individuals, but we are not the professionals here. Let the professionals do their job and let those of us who are doing other things. I mean, I'm in that meeting too, Miguel. Okay, but we have things to do here, and
Yeah,
it can't constantly
I
stop.
understand.
Excuse me. Can't be constantly stopped because you raise this issue at every meeting we're in, and it's not
I'm the victim. Of course, I am the victim. Marie.
Hello, let's
okay.
have the speakers list.
Joe, okay, go ahead.
People feel victimized. That's why we need to talk about it outside of here. I don't want to hear it here. I want to hear.
Hello.
I'm talking right now.
Yeah, but everybody's talking. I could be talking as well.
Well, no. That's what the mediators have been hired for. And it's going. It's not like nothing's happening here. We've been trying to get a meeting. Now there is a meeting. Are you going to attend? I'm going to attend. And if people come in and attend, we will talk about these things. But I'm sorry, not prepared to belabor it in every other meeting we go to. That's not fair because we get nothing done. We're talking about shaping culture now. Inez is not a co-chair. The co-chairs of safety will show up. As well as you'd like to. You got the floor, Michael.
Okay. All right. So the safety group is its own thing. It's not the same as CBOG. So and there are other people here besides those two individuals who are doing mediation. I've even been at one session where somebody said they were completely new and they've never done it before, and they did a really good job. So the people who were hired, they can do their job, and that might reduce some conflict. We can deal with the particular issue around the safety network. That might help reduce things. Others of us also can mediate. That might help. We have to try multiple ways of helping. But I wouldn't have thought that the CBOG process would solve all our other issues. A lot of people were not even involved in the CBOG process. So I don't know how that's going to solve everything by itself, but if they want to go ahead and do that, that's fine. But there are at least two other things going on right now that will help. But I was also going to say maybe the next step is just to call a meeting of the Shaping Culture group again. I mean, I hope that doesn't set us off in a wrong direction also, but that would be the easiest possibly thing to do next. And it's not that this process with the safety network is going to take a long time. I'm just saying, like, if it's not resolved within a week or two, the immediate issue, then it goes back to being part of the general issue because it hasn't been resolved. I'm just saying, if it can be resolved in a week or two, and everybody understands what the solution is to that is, it will make it easier to deal with the general issues. But if it's not resolved that quickly, then it's not, then there isn't a quick solution to it, and it becomes part of the general issue, and we have to do whatever the general approach was going to be. But maybe the best way to find out what that general approach is to call the Shaping Culture meeting. I mean, I'm a little concerned about that also, and for how that may or may not help, but perhaps that is the solution right now.
As we've seen, the planning committee members are navigating deep divisions on how best to resolve conflict and ensure effective governance. While perspectives differ, a structured approaches to conflict resolution appears necessary for progress. To this end, the committee has developed key guiding documents, including the SDP Shaping Cultures document and the Terms of Reference. These frameworks provide a foundation for fostering dialogue, accountability, and inclusion, helping members align on shared principles and work together despite their differences. The SDP Shaping Cultures document specifically outlines Regent Park's values of mutual respect, collaborative problem solving, and social cohesion. It includes guidelines for meetings, conflict resolution protocols, and strategies for ensuring that all voices are heard. By integrating these principles into their daily interactions, Committee members aim to rebuild trust and refocus on their shared mission of community development. Let's return to the meeting now and see how these frameworks shape the conversations moving forward.
Okay, Michael, thank you. Elena, your hands up.
Yes,
And-
thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, Miguel. Regarding this word or sentence, small, I don't know what should I call it, that I am not safe over here. We are imposing ourselves that the SDP is not the safe place, and why? I think the SDP should decide to no one use these really words again, because it's not only appropriate, inappropriate, even it's some sort of I found it just like insulting to the member of the group that they are in the SDP, even at this moment. Why it is not safe? I am safe. The conflicts happen. People, they have the different opinion, ideas, they talk to each other, maybe they fight, maybe they quarrel, but it doesn't mean that a space is unsafe. There is nothing to be unsafe. If a person really feel unsafe, to me, they have to step down, or maybe the SDP, they have to ask them to step down and then give the space to someone else that who feel really safe in this community, or maybe committee, or maybe group. So I am safe, everyone is safe, we are having the meeting every time, but it doesn't mean always we are having a fun and laughing. No, sometimes there are a argument, sometimes there are a disagreement, sometimes there are cons, pros, and too many things. So we have to make everyone understand that if a single person or two people or three people, they are not safe, if they would like to go based on a guideline, that would be good. They have to discuss with the mediator. And if they are not accepting, it is out of the SDP guideline, respectfully step down. When they step down, then definitely they feel more safe. If they do not feel safe, why they want to grab that position, hang to the position, and just bring the bad name to the SDP? That's the things that I request all the members of the SDP. We have to decide about that guideline. We have to talk about it, and we have to bring that person or people that they do not feel safe. And if they are rejecting, simply ask them to step down. This is, my request, and it should be done, because believe me, if we want to go ahead with just the SDP is not a safe place, we cannot reach to anyone. We are also spreading in a different way to the community that we are not a safe people. Why we are not a safe people? What we are going to do? Are we violent? Are we, I don't know, savage? Are we, how we are behaving that this committee is not safe? This committee is very safe. If they do not feel safe, so they have to find out the way for themselves. And the SDP has to recommend them. If they are not going based on the guideline of the SDP, so they have to go away from this group. That is the recommendation that I'm making, and strongly I am on it, and we have to go based on it, because it is really too much. We are spreading these words too many times, even it affects the people that they are newly join us, and it doesn't have the good really perception and a vision towards the SDP and the SDP working culture. Thank you very much, everyone. Get back to me.
Okay, thank you, Elena. Joel, Michael, you want to speak, or you want to wait until Joel finishes?
I had just spoken, so Joel can go now.
Okay, Joel, go ahead.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I think that's a good principle that people can take turns speaking. If you've spoken recently, maybe cede to another person. So I think that's great. So a couple things. I'm the one that used the word safe, and I know this is a word that some people use it, and other people don't want to hear it used. I think, but we can't legislate the words that people use. So I think if people do use it, I think we kind of got to work with it rather than tell people not to use it. Although I wasn't using it for myself, and so I you know, I can, I could easily have used a different word, which I could have done. And you know, I'll try to do that. I'll try to keep that in mind. But I do think that if a person does bring that up in a meeting, they should be allowed to. I think if we police people's language, that is a thing. And it's not, safety isn't only about, or whatever, willingness to be present, feeling like a space is constructive, is not restricted to whether there's violence or not. It's a sense of, this is a good place to be. I can get stuff done here. It makes sense for me to be here. That's the spirit in which I was using the term safe. So I'll take that word away, and I'll replace it with the people. Like there's many people who are interested in this social cohesion work who aren't here and don't feel that it's to their benefit, to their interest to be here. And I don't think that the response to that is to tell people, well, you should just be here anyway. I think we need to work with that. And I know people are working with that. So, but that's the spirit in which I'm talking about it. And I think I want to bring that kind of understanding to the table here. Because I think if there were no issues around that, we wouldn't be facing what we're facing. So I think there was another. Oh, I think that so the overall suggestion that I have, I think if I want to make a suggestion about, I think it covers most of what I've heard. One is that let's there was a suggestion to do some work on the documents to make them more easily accessible. So why don't we have a two-pronged thing where our first thing that we do in the next, say, month or so is make the documents more accessible. Maybe have a slideshow that comes out of them. And in the meantime, other processes will carry forward, and we can talk about having a broader meeting with with the purpose of operationalizing the guidelines, you know, maybe in a month or something like that. So it doesn't have to be immediate. That maybe that would address what people's the different things that people are bringing up here.
Okay. Thank you, Joel.
I do want to add
go ahead.
something. Oh, hello?
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I just want to add a bit to the first part of what Joel was saying. I think that a lot of our situation derives from the fact that we have like two different kinds of people. There's the people who want to do what's right, and there's the people who want to feel good. And they can both like really rub the others the wrong way. And I mean, I'll just say this. I think that the existing guidelines were written mostly from the point of view of the people who want to do what's right, and they just assumed that that would make people feel good. And I think we need to pay a lot more attention to what would actually make people feel good.
Okay. All right. Next is Marlene.
Yeah, there's some of this I so fundamentally disagree with. The fact that we, you know, people can say, well, you know, if someone, you know, doesn't feel safe, they should be allowed to express that. Well, sometimes their feelings are wrong. Sometimes their feelings are wrong and overblown. And people also take us hostage with the statement of, I'm not safe. I'm not safe. This is why we have kids today who feel unsafe to do anything. My parents go with their kids to university to talk to the professors for them because they feel unsafe. This is, I mean, you know, fighting as a, you know, as a, I hate using this word, but going through all that in the 60s and 70s, trying to liberate women and feel strong about ourselves, when I look at these young and middle-aged people going, I'm not safe, I'm not safe. I'm going, where have you been? Did no one teach you any resilience? Did no one teach you to be safe? Is somebody in this room holding a gun to your head that you're not safe? I think, Joel, we have a right to call this because we're creating a culture that is just not realistic. We need to encourage people to have some courage and not be afraid of being around every corner. And also, when you say, well, we can't tell people that they should be there. Bloody hell, if you call a meeting and you're calling a bunch of responsible people, then you take the responsibility to be there. And yes, I think we can expect people to be there. Do we expect nothing of anyone? I think we should. Do we not expect anything of ourselves? Then stop making crutches for people. That they don't have to do this, they don't have to do that, they can be fearful of this and they can be fearful of that. Grow up, people. If you haven't learned it as a kid, you better start learning it now, because this is one tough world. I have a granddaughter who's 4 years old, and that kid is learning to be strong from women who've come out of the 60s and 70s, not this crap that they're teaching them now. Because this kid is going to be living in a tougher world than I did. And I want her to be strong and resilient, not a poor little quivering leaf that's afraid of her own shadow. And I think you are so wrong in the way you allow people to be weak. People have to be taught strength. And let strength be expected. And that's how people feel good about themselves. To realize, yes, listen, I've been kicked around in these meetings. I'm still standing. And I'm sorry, but some of you put me through the mill. And I'm here. I'm still here. So should I have said back then when you had me running the gauntlet, oh, I'm not safe. I'm not safe. Oh, God, this is terrible. I did not. And I'm here. And I expect some other people to be here as well. The people who know better, I expect them to be here. And stop making excuses for people, because you're not doing anybody any favors. And certainly for young people, you are not doing them any favors by allowing people to be that weak. It's becoming a cliche now. It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you, Marlene. And Lena, next, please.
Yes, thank you very much regarding this. This word, it's brought up by other people's, Jewel, and we are just, discussing about that. If you brought this one, you have to bring it because you are the co-chair. It doesn't mean that you brought out and you are not talking about it next time. No. This word is brought up by people that they do not, to me, they do not have the sense of the collaboration, cooperation, and cohesion. We talk about the cohesion. There is no cohesion with them. They would like to bring some issues and they would like to talk behind or in front of others rather than come and face their own problems. To me, that is, their own problems, that it should be solved by themselves. But of course, the SDP always is helpful and they will help the people through the mediator. But if they are not accepting the mediator, if they are not accepting the recommendation, what would be the solution? That's what I am asking you. The solution would be a step out of the SDP. That's a best solution, because people, when they do not feel safe, even they don't want to go for the therapy, if they don't want to go to find a solution, if they don't want to go and talk to the main person who can help them, and they prefer to just make a gossip behind the SDP, that's not the way of the shaping culture of the SDP. So we have to take this out of this shaping culture, and we do not have it, and we do not tolerate it. That's a tolerance. Everything has the tolerance, and it should be respected. If they cannot respect it, there is no space for such people, because normally they say these people, they do not bring any benefit, but they are the absolute destroyer to the whole community and committee. That's the things that we do not want, because we want to keep this committee as the SDP cohesion, collaborations, cooperative group and a team for this community. Just imagine if everybody comes to the committee, try to start nagging, bring their challenges without accepting the help that the SDP provided to them. So what's the use of just listening to them? People, they have lots of problems. Each and every one of us have lots of problems. We know that, even some we know what type of problems the others, even at this present, everyone has it. But it doesn't mean if I bring my problem, I am not looking for the solution. When you bring the problem, you have to be open to accept the solution and recommendation. If you do not accept, means that problem is just a talk to me. So highly, I request everyone and recommend everyone, we have to be a little bit stronger about our guidelines, about the way that people are bringing the challenges to the meeting. And if they are not seeking any type of help from us, so there is no way to listen to their problems. Maybe in private, if they want to discuss or talk to any of the member of the SDP, they are most welcome. But as of the group, they cannot bring such a things into the SDP when they are not the really help seeker from the SDP. Thank you very much. Get back to the media.
Thank you, Elena. I like your perspective. The time now, folks, the time is 2:20 p.m. We had to make a decision. Should we vote or continue the conversation for another time?
And the first step is consensus, Miguel.
Consensus, okay. How does everybody feel about it now? After hearing from everybody's opinions, should we continue this conversation?
I think we can decide about it, that what we have to do. We have to follow the guidelines or not. We have to put another guidelines. We have to be more stronger in our guidelines. Sorry, Walid, please go ahead. Thank you.
Hey, Walid, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm of the opinion that we need to enforce the documents that were approved by residents through the stakeholders table. I think we're adults here. No one's perfect. Sometimes I will have a fight with some of my friends, and we might not like each other for a day or two, but we're adults. We need to develop skills to resolve conflict in a healthy way. Like just last week, I resolved a conflict with someone that I disagreed with fundamentally months ago, but we came to the conclusion that we need to work in the best interest of the community. And now we speak with each other with respect, and we have boundaries. We set boundaries on how we communicate with each other. And that's a learning thing. We don't need to drag the entire community into our drama. So I'm asking you folks to just let's move forward by inviting all the co-chairs of the working groups to the planning committee so that we could talk about alignment, and we can talk about implementing the terms of reference. And Miguel, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to participate meaningfully in the safety network. I was at work. I was actually doing a presentation at work, so I couldn't pay attention, but I will have said the same points there. Like, listen, the stakeholders table is not one individual's property. It's our collective. It's our collective ownership. Each one of us play an important role in implementing the SDP's priorities, and we need to work together. So I am of the opinion that we should just invite all the co-chairs and anyone who's interested to the next planning committee where we could discuss implementing these documents. That's it.
I agree with that. Okay, Michael, you have a final thought?
So I think that I mean, maybe we do that for the next planning committee, but I think eventually this is going to turn into reviewing back to that process of holding an alignment meeting. But I don't think that that's the same thing as the shaping culture or conflict process. So I think that a meeting about that is more specific. It's not a general alignment meeting. It's about shaping culture. So I think the next step is probably for the shaping culture group to meet and prepare for something like that. Because I don't think most of this has to happen at the planning committee itself.
Okay, all right, guys, so the decision is to invite all the co-chairs. Should we have a vote?
No, Miguel, you have two different proposals here.
Oh, sorry.
We can do both because, I mean, I think the safety committee has already decided that basically they want Marlene to be here, whether she's as a representative or not. That was their decision. I don't think that's going to change, but we can try another like immediate effort to bring them to the planning committee. But I also think the shaping culture should prepare for something else to happen as well.
Oh, okay. I forgot. At the meeting, Walid, you should hear this. At the meeting, Leonard appointed Marlene to be the representative of the Regent Park. Sorry, Marlene.
No, she didn't.
Create a new terms of reference.
No one can appoint anyone. I can't appoint you, Miguel, to be the rep of the planning committee. I can't. This is a decision of the committee. If the committee voted on a resolution to do so, then yes, that's in order. But I, as an individual, can't appoint Joel. I can't appoint Marlene. I can't appoint Elena to anything. I'm not a dictator. And so is Leonard. Leonard is not a dictator. No one can do that.
Okay, but the task that was assigned for Marlene was to create their own Regent Park Safety Network terms of reference. We can't have another terms of reference.
No, we can't. No, we can't. I will oppose that. There's no separate terms of reference for just the safety network. No, it has, and if they do, it has to go to the stakeholders table.
That's right.
Full stop. If they want to really pursue that, bring it to the stakeholders table. Let the residents decide. You don't pick and choose what to do independently. I'm sorry. Especially if you are responsible for public funds that are going from the city or from other sources for the community. Sorry.
I wasn't.
I'm not sorry. I strongly believe that.
And I said I had time. Nobody else put up their hand. That's all. It's the only reason I'm doing it. I have time. I'm a reporter. That's all I'm doing. I don't know what the big deal is here. I'm just reporting back anything that happens in the safety network so that you get information from the safety network to the planning committee. That's all.
Marlene, that's fine. And I think you should continue to do so. Anyone who goes to the safety network can report back on what happened at the safety network. What I am asking for us to do is make sure we have representation from the co-chairs, the leadership team of all the working groups. And I think we have consent.
Okay, we have a clear understanding. Co-chairs are invited next meeting. So that is the talk. That is the item on the table. So should we have a vote?
Let's just be clear. For what purpose?
I will go along with that, but I don't think there's any expectation that the rest of the people will come.
Who's the rest of the people?
Not.
I mean, aside from Marlene, the other people who are in fact the co-chairs.
Why not?
Yeah, Michael, can we please not assume Let's make the
All right,
ask.
all right, but I don't want you to get angry if they don't.
I'm never gonna get angry. I am trying to bring people together, and I hope that they will listen to reason and they'll understand the impact of their participation on the planning committee. And I'm just asking for all of your help to help advocate for that position.
And agree with you, Walid. And then they should not get involved TCSC in these matters. They should not bring the TCSC stuff.
Yeah, TCHC can attend as a stakeholder, but TCHC does not have any right to decide for residents. They're there to support residents. They're paid staff. Agency support is to support the residents. It's not to make decisions for residents. Full stop.
Can I ask a question before we vote? This is,
Okay, go ahead.
this is a separate meeting. It's not the next planning committee. It's a separate meeting,
I
right?
think the proposal was for next planning committee. That's what Walid said.
Then what's all the fuss about who should be there and who shouldn't? Then everybody would,
Yeah, there's no fuss. I agree with you, Marlene. There shouldn't be any fuss at all.
why isn't this a separate meeting? And we get on with our regular work in the planning committee.
Because they haven't been to the planning committee, and that's been part of the problem. When you don't show up to planning committee meetings, you don't even know there's a terms of reference you need to follow. And then months pass by which you don't have elections and where you have people, bring it up.
Exactly.
Then you bring people together and you tell them why they need to be there, because you're talking about shaping culture. And that's all they're talking about. It should be a separate meeting.
Yeah, you're bringing other things in here, Walid.
Yeah, if we want to discuss the shaping SDP culture, we should discuss it at the planning committee. And my point is that they should be at the table.
Bring it back.
This side tables, this side conversations, I don't think are helpful.
This is
because at the end of the day, we're not trying to create conditions for people to get along and work together. It's always like, let's mediate between conflicts come on, we're grown adults here. We need to stop doing this. It's not been working for years. It's not.
I'm not talking about conflict. I'm talking about every time we have a separate thing that we need to discuss, we take it to a committee and then it comes back with suggestions.
Marlene, I have a lot of respect for you. If you want to take the prerogative of meeting with the co-chairs separately to discuss it, go ahead. I'm just saying that we need to invite them. We need to push for them to show up at the table so that they could participate meaningfully. Them not showing up for a long period of time is not helping the SDP. And it's not helping us reach that goal of social cohesion.
Pounding them on the head is not helping either.
I'm gonna talk like you. I'm gonna talk to them one-on-one. I'm gonna call Leonard on the phone. Like, Leonard, I was at the safety network. I heard what happened. Please show up to the next planning committee. Haja, I was there. I heard what happened. You know what the issue is? You don't even have an understanding of this governance document that you're supposed to follow. Please show up to the planning committee so you could ask questions. And I will make sure you get documents so you can read in advance. Felicia, you're the TCHC agency rep. Can you please help us make sure that the co-chairs are supported so that they can actively participate in the planning committee? That's it. That's my goal. My goal is not to have side conversations because I think disagreement is healthy. Disagreement is healthy, but it needs to be in the right space. We're not professional mediators, right? To conflict it. Unless we want to hire Kadeen and Sean to mediate this separately, then yes, professional mediators who have a process, I am 100% on side. But I think we need to start having conversations about implementing the shaping SDP culture document. Do people understand it? Can we use it to really reach a conclusion in any conflict we might have? And that's understanding that conflict is healthy, by the way. There's nothing wrong with conflict. It's just how do you deal with conflict? It should not be in a way that's abusive. It should not be in a way that makes someone feel less of themselves or feel that their opinion doesn't matter. And just having a difference of opinion doesn't mean that you should feel unsafe. That's ridiculous.
Waleed, if
I
you
disagree with everyone here in different occasions. I don't feel unsafe. You know,
Waleed,
I actually feel like heard. And maybe I win, maybe I lose. But that's what happens.
Well,
Waleed,
but
then.
um,
Listen, I knew what went on in that last meeting, and you guys better show up. That is not encouraging anybody to come. That is really aggressive, Waleed.
Who said that? Who said you people better show up?
Who
Who
said
said
that?
that?
I know what went on in that last meeting, and you guys never show up, and now you need to come to this. That is very aggressive.
Who said that?
Who said that?
At
That's
the
what
meeting?
That's how I heard what you said. I heard that too, Waleed. Maybe you didn't use those words, but that's the tone in which I heard what you said.
No, I'm going to be very clear so that you folks understand what I'm saying. I'm saying let's take the steps 101, each one of us, to reach out to the co-chairs to encourage them to participate. Let's get buy-in so they could participate.
I don't.
Let's
hello?
let's explain. We are at this point at the
Meeting.
safety network because you folks are not at the planning committee.
That's
If
not
they choose,
entirely
if they
true.
choose to show
Hello?
up, great. If they don't, we can't force them. No one can force anyone's hand.
Hello?
Okay, guys. We're not gonna reach a conclusion here. I don't see the problem. Why not inviting the co-chair for the next meeting, and deal with this changing culture. Anyway, who wants to speak next?
Hello? Yes.
Michael, yeah, go ahead, please.
So, I know there's like some like issue as to whether Marlene is here on one basis or another. Without using any words, though, that was their solution, is that Marlene would be the person who would be here. So I don't expect that to change.
That's nothing to do with that. It had nothing
Yes, it does, because they don't want to come to the planning committee.
to do. And you're making assumptions.
I've spoken to them. Maybe it's changed in the last couple of weeks. I don't know, but this is not an assumption.
Inez said she wouldn't come. This is not Inez. This is
Another person also said that, and all three of them have been showing it by not coming.
you're making trouble where there isn't any. Don't have any assumptions.
Anyways, it's not an assumption. I was told that, but in any case, it's fine. If people want to invite them, that's fine. I didn't object to that, but I'm not making an assumption. It's based on something. So in any case, if they come, they come. If not, we have a couple other things we can try, like the Shaping Culture can prepare like the presentation, and we can get it around by other means and all of this. And there's several other things we can do. There are already things underway, including forms of mediation. Like, we're not limited to certain people who get paid salaries for it. Lots of people within this group actually have done mediations. So that's also happening. And if we want to invite the co-chairs, that's fine. We can do that as well. But what I was going to say is, doing this on the basis of, it's right and it's wrong, and they have to come and this kind of thing. It's yeah. I mean, that's not going to work because not everybody thinks about what's right and what's wrong. They're more interested in what feels good.
I don't know why we're talking about this.
But that was more related to the previous conversation. But just telling them that it's required or it's right, or that it's not going to work so well. Anyways, yeah, let's just invite them. But I mean, let's also look at the other solutions.
Can I go, Miguel?
All right, thank you, Michael. Joel, go ahead.
What I support is that if we do invite them, I wouldn't strongly support that, but I'm not against it. I don't know that we're quite ready, but if people want to do it, I'm not against it. It's to have a constructive discussion with them. And it is not constructive to, in that meeting, talk to them about the things they've done wrong. That is just going to make them feel like they've been called to on the carpet, and we're nobody to call them on the carpet. Okay, we have to, and if they don't come, then yeah, we figure something else out. I mean, I think it's good at least that we're talking about this here at the planning committee, but ways to bring that whole network together in a meaningful way. And so I appreciate your comment, Miguel, or sorry, Waleed, that you don't want to criticize. It sounded to me like you were criticizing in this space in the planning committee. So I would put to you to be careful about that. And I would say that if we do want to talk about the implementing SDP guidelines, we are not here to talk about the terms of reference. That can happen, but that's not the purpose of the agenda item. We got to stay focused, and we got to, if we do have them, that's great. Let's keep it positive and encouraging and try to build something rather than have a combative tone of the meeting, which once again drives people away. And it's just kind of sensitive, not sensitive, but it's hard to get the words around it, because I fully agree that conflict can be a good thing. It's not just because we have conflict isn't going to be bad, but there's ways of doing conflict that drive people away. And that's what we need to do our best to have good, healthy conflict that keeps people engaged with each other.
All right, thank you, Joel. Elena.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Well, I agree with just inviting them. We have to invite them, but definitely they want to know that invitation is for what. It should be a little bit clear that for a long time they did not really participate in the SDP. We need their output if they have any issues, and even the issue that we want to discuss as a 1 or 2 point it should be mentioned to them. It doesn't mean that because maybe we are assuming that they feel bad, we should not talk about it. This SDP is just for clearing the issues. If we don't want to talk about our issues, so I don't see any really benefit of putting any meeting and inviting them. So when we invite a group, one of the things is responsibility that they have, accountability towards the SDP that they have, and the third one, the issue that it exists, and we want to provide the solution or seek the solution from them. That's a thing, that's a point that we have to mention for the invitations. And definitely strongly we have to mention that this committee is required to be together once in a while, and we have not having you for a while. So that's why that we are inviting you, and these are the issues we want to discuss about it. But I request anytime you want to invite them, be mindful, do not put it at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, I'm not really for a couple of weeks available. If it is at 1 o'clock, the planning committee, I will participate, but at 5, even I had made some changes for the EED towards the 3 o'clock, and 3 o'clock I have another meeting that I have to go. For a couple of weeks, I am doing some other meetings. So unfortunately, I will not be able to be present. So please be mindful, put it at 1 o'clock, or maybe we can change it on a Tuesday. The Tuesday I have more time, if it is not conflict with the other meetings. And within the 10 minutes, or yeah, actually less than the 10 minutes, I have to quit the meeting to just jump in another meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. Just please be mindful of the timing and the days. Not on the Thursday, it would be on Tuesday. It would be great. I will be there 100%. Thank you very much. It is just for a couple of weeks, and after that, I'll come back, to the normal meetings. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Elena. All right. I think it's Marlene next.
Yeah, just one last thing. In any other kind of an organization, they have meetings just like us, and nobody sits around, discussing whether this person will talk to that person or whatever. You simply send out a cordial invitation saying, this is the meeting we're having. This is the reason we're having it. I would never mention you haven't been here in a while. I would just say, it's important that everyone's input is important, and we would really like to gather to talk about this. And that's it. We're having a meeting. You don't sit around for an hour and a half talking about whether people will get along or whether they won't come. It's none of our business. It's none of our business. And we're always into each other's business, frankly. How they're thinking in their head, whether they'll come or not, whether they're having an argument with someone else, is none of our business when we are planning a meeting. And, you know, some people have some backstory, some people have other backstory. It's sort of what makes Regent Park unique in not a good way. Okay? No, I'll bet you in your organization, Joel, when you call a meeting, you simply call a pleasant meeting and people come. Or if they can't, they can't. But you don't sit around. I'll bet you and your other colleagues don't sit around going, gee, I wonder if she'll talk to that person, or probably they won't come because they don't like those people. Those things don't even come up because it's nobody's business. Call the meeting and let's have it. If you're going to do it at the SDP, do it at the SDP. If it's going to be a second meeting, do it as a second meeting. But
Okay,
just clear what we're doing it for. We're there to talk about how to operationalize the shaping SDP culture. And that's it. That's all you have to say. And don't suppose anything.
okay, folks. All right, so we don't have a consensus. Should we defer for the next meeting?
Let's try again for a consensus. Shall we have this meeting or not?
I think Waleed wants to defer the next item, Miguel. I don't think he's suggesting deferring this item unless I'm misunderstanding.
No, don't defer this again. Shall we have a meeting or not?
I've got my hand up.
Okay, Joel, you still think we should have a vote?
Well,
I agree to have it, you know,
I put in the chat. I mean, we unfortunately still are kind of going around in circles a little bit, which just happens. Waleed suggested that the purpose of the meeting be to discuss the governance documents. So we now have a few different ideas of purpose. And I think that this group should agree on what the purpose is and then stick to that. So I just wanted to note that. And what this agenda item is about the culture guidelines. It's not about discussing the governance documents. So having a broader purpose, it might be the right thing, but it's a bit beyond what we're talking about right now.
Not where we started.
Yeah, it's not where we started.
Not where we started. We started by talking about this very specifically. Are we going to do this, or are we going to wait another year?
Yeah, time is important as well. We cannot drag it for another time.
Oh, no, enough.
So I think my suggestion is that it not be about discussing the governance documents. Although, I mean, I think I know where Waleed's coming from. I think it's like the guidelines are part of the governance documents, and I just think that's a broader issue that if we want to get to that, that can come later. Certainly they should. I hope, Marlene, do you know if the co-chairs have the terms of reference for the SDP?
I have no idea.
Well, we should make sure they have it and that's a live issue and that we want to be using that. But not to discuss that.
They should get those beforehand. Make sure that that's been read. I'd like to see.
If that hasn't already been taken care of, it'll be taken care of by this time next week.
I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. I misspoke. What I was wanting to say is that we should be reading what this group has written before we come into the meeting. And I think you suggest that to people. Here's where you'll find the documents. Please read them. Come to the meeting to prepared to discuss. And stick to one subject. I mean, We don't seem to be able to make a decision on anything. It's not hard. It's not hard. Choose a subject, make a decision. Let's meet.
Let's let Miguel facilitate here.
Okay. So I hear from Marlene long enough, and Joel and Marlene and Elena, Walid, everybody think the best approach is to have a meeting. So let's have a meeting, plain and simple. No assumptions, no guilty, just education purposes. Enough
And what's the purpose of the meeting, Miguel?
to refresh everybody to be on the same page about changes, cultures, or if they want to make questions, they want to find out more, just to touch base, with everybody. I don't know. That is my approach.
We're there to talk about shaping the culture, shaping SDB culture, and the guidelines that have been written.
Yeah.
That's what we're
But-
talking.
So is that going to take place at the next planning committee?
So
Yeah, I think so. It should be next meeting, Michael.
So then we won't really have time to have prepared any, like, a presentation based on it. It'll just be, here are the documents, come to the meeting.
come prepared for the meeting.
Come what?
Prepared.
Well,
Read-
prepared, yeah, but as prepared as they can be by reading the documents. We're not going to have done anything else by then to prepare people.
I haven't read them. I want to read them.
Can I make a,
All right.
you haven't read them, Marlene.
A long time ago, but I haven't read them lately.
Can I make a suggestion, folks?
Okay,
think-
go ahead.
We're not gonna have a clear plan for operationalizing the guidelines coming out of next meeting. But I think the invitation is to come to discuss it and start the discussion and see where we go.
Good.
Like an
Sounds-
exploration kind of language.
45 minutes ago.
All right. So
Sorry, Miguel. I'm just, going out because I have to get prepared for the another meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. And then please, I said, if you want to, invite the co-chairs, and I have to be there, definitely. I prefer on Tuesday, if you can just, keep it on Tuesday for a couple of weeks. I would be busy on Thursday at 5. I'm not able to join at 5 on Thursday if the meeting is on Thursday at 5 p.m. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
okay.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day all. Bye.
Thank you, Evelina. We noted that.
Maybe we could switch until at 1 o'clock.
Let's do it 1 o'clock. Yeah.
So you wanted to change the time of the next planning committee meeting?
Yes.
To accommodate,
All right.
or
Well-
do it
I get
Tuesday.
out of here without knowing what's happening.
We have like a Gale, for example, is much more available at 5 than at 1. So we do have the alternating system for a reason. Elena's request was to change the day of the meeting to Tuesday.
That's okay too.
No, I don't want to change the day of the meeting. We have other things that happen on Tuesdays.
Are you busy on Tuesday, Michael?
Busy. I'm very busy on Tuesday, but there's also SDP meetings on Tuesdays in the evening.
Okay. Well, Tuesday won't work, will it? Not everyone's going to be able to be there. The way it always is.
I think we should accommodate Elena's request.
Not even at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, Michael?
That's mostly even worse. It depends which day it is. But you really want to do this? Can't we do it like 2 weeks from now at the regular 1 o'clock meeting?
I don't know that we have a rush, really. Like all of a sudden there's a rush.
Okay. Just to do something.
I don't know, guys. You got to choose what day you want to meet. Tuesday or Thursday.
Thursday at 1 o'clock and see what happens. Maybe Gail will be able to make it from her
I mean,
office.
it's not the end of the world. We change it to 1 o'clock, is it?
Isn't?
I would suggest we do 2 weeks at 1 o'clock. Just keep things, we don't change times. We just have it 2 weeks rather than 1 week.
Sounds good. Any objections?
Okay, in 2 weeks, we shall meet.
Gives them more time to read the documents too.
Sure.
Very good. That would be February the 6th, right?
Yeah.
February the 5th, yeah.
6th.
Sounds good. Who's going to invite everyone and write a letter?
That will be the job of Brandy.
Yeah, I'll work with Brandy on that. And
Okay.
I mean, I think I've heard what I've heard people say is that in that invitation, people would like to see the SDP guidelines be sent as well as the terms of reference. Not that the terms of reference would be the purpose of the meeting, but it's just background.
That would be great. That would be great.
Okay, guys, I had to make a hard stop at 1 p.m. I mean, at 3 p.m. So can we have a vote?
I think we have built consensus, Miguel. We don't need a vote.
All right. I gotta leave at 3 o'clock, guys.
You want there to be
Okay,
a
why don't
vote,
we
Miguel?
move
2 weeks from now, give them 2 weeks to read the documents. If you have any questions, they can come and ask questions.
Thank you,
Well
Joe.
put. Thank you, Joel. Thanks, Marlene. Thanks, Miguel. Thanks, Elena, if she's still around.
She left
And
already.
thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got another meeting to catch at 3 o'clock. It's work related, so I have to get off.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all our social media platforms. And if you need more information, go to our website.